All right, guys, good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. It is Monday, brand new week, August 7th, 2023. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to join me this morning and every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here on the YouTube channel, Dow futures up 118 points this morning, NASDAQ up 0.55%, S&P 500 up 0.44%, with the Russell up 0.43%. Do I have an echo? My apologies. I don't have my headphones. Do I have anything on that would cause this? Nothing else recorded on the audio. Well, I'm using the same microphone as I've always used, so I'm not really sure what the issue is. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. If I restart it, is there anyone else that's hearing an echo? Because I may have to restart it, restart OBS, and do it over again. So let me do that. Stand by. Okay. I found out what I had on. I had CNBC feed live on my computer, so that's probably the issue in terms of the audio. I hope this works now. Lucky Bamboo. I love that screen name, Lucky Bamboo. Good morning, everybody. Welcome again to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to join me this morning and every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the YouTube channel. My apologies for doing this the second time. Could be the audio having some issues. Maybe it's from that CNBC live feed that I have. TOS. There you go. Awesome. All right, good. I'm glad we're all set up, guys. Let's start again. Dow futures up 123 points this morning. NASDAQ up 83. The S&P up 0.43%. The Russell up the same 0.42%. 10-year Treasury yields catching a couple of points here on the yield side, 4.07%. The dollar index is up 0.06%, 102.07. 1683 for the volatility index, the VIX, down 1.58%. If you remember, towards the tail end of the session on Friday, we had a nice slam in stocks, but we held that 4,500 support. As I talked about here on the headline, does support hold? We're going to actually talk about the support levels here in a second after we go around the horn. 82.32 for crude oil. That is down about 0.63%. I'll be watching crude oil very carefully, as on Thursday we have our CPI number, inflation data. Remember, there's no Fed this month, so we'll see what the CPI data has for us in store. Remember, July is that peak in oil prices, the peak of inflation last year. Let's see how we really did on a year-over-year basis now with a rolling 52 weeks under our belt. Gasoline futures, $2.79, up 0.55%. A little commentary on gas prices and how much it affects the economy and the perception of the economy. Like I've always said, when it comes to consumer confidence, it's really based on one fact: gas prices. Gas prices and the Dow, I would probably say the two main perspective drivers of the consumer. Dow for the rich or the wealthier that are invested, and gas prices for more the middle class and lower class, because that affects the actual consumer directly every day, because that price does change. Granted, in the summertime, there is a different blend of gasoline that is refined, which is in terms of a less pollutant. So again, it takes a while for these refineries to go ahead and get those online. If you notice, every summer, we always had a spike in gas prices and oil prices, throwing a little bit of Saudi cutting of production and the dollar not rising fast enough to meet crude. This is where you are. The reason that gas prices are so important to the perception is because usually when you have the correlation between consumer confidence, it's usually in line with gas prices. So again, the less you spend at the pump, the more you'll spend out wherever you are. And of course, everything runs on gasoline and fossil fuels, as we know, at least for the time being, unless everyone starts getting a Tesla, which would be kind of cool. No more pumping gas. I personally hate pumping gas, personally. So I would love an electric vehicle next. Gold futures down 0.11%, 1974 an ounce. That's with the dollar coming up a little bit. Silver futures down 0.38%, 23.62. Copper futures are flat, $3.86. Euro dollar 109.94, down about 17 pips. Dollar yen 142.01, up 26 points. Pound dollar 127.76. That's up another 31 pips. Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum is flat, 1837. Bitcoin 29,155, up 0.22% this morning. So getting a little bit of a risk on bid here on stocks. If you're noticing that things might be a little slow this week and into next week, that is by design. Usually in mid-August to early August, we have a little bit of a slowdown in terms of just volume. Kids are going back to school. You know, people are taking that last minute vacation. I mean, even if you watch CNBC on TV, they have their backup anchors doing their shows because those the main anchors and reporters, they're on vacation usually in the first couple of weeks of August. Uh, I would assume that right now in Goldman, JPM, Morgan Stanley, Merrill Lynch, all those trading desks, most of them are probably on vacation right now and probably into next week. Granted, the CPI number does loom, but again, no Fed. So again, we won't get that much of a recourse right away. We won't know exactly what will happen. In terms of around 3 weeks from now, we'll have the Jackson Hole Symposium in Wyoming. That's where Fed Chair Powell will speak regarding monetary policy, I assume. So it's basically a central bankers meeting, and that's where they meet. Jackson Hole, Wyoming in the summer, because Wyoming in the winter would be death. So you want to go in the summer, it's probably absolutely gorgeous over there. So we'll probably get a little more hint after the CPI and what the Fed might do. Posted this on the blog this morning. Check this out. Here are the odds of the rate hikes, possible rate hikes. So again, August, there is no meeting. So 16% possibility of a rate hike in September and 35% in October with November, with October completely skipped, which is very interesting. I don't know why October was skipped. I'm assuming there is a Fed meeting, but I guess these are the only two data points that they included. This was from CNBC. So here's the question now. If we have a 16% chance of a rate hike in September, again, that's not exactly amazing odds or very likely odds. Is the market pricing in that? So are we still pricing in the Fitch stuff? Are we pricing in low volume? Are we pricing in what exactly? A slowdown in earnings. Apple had 3 consecutive quarters of lowering iPhone sales, but still beat on EPS and revenue, top line, bottom line. So where does that leave us? Really where we should be, to be honest, not at all-time highs quite yet, especially with low volume, but testing support, that sounds about right, at least short term. And the reason I say it's support is because you have the 2 times where we had the double top early in July into from late June. And if you remember, we had July, that really rough week in July where we had that rug pull on that Thursday, which is right here. We had a couple of days after that, and then we took another leg higher. So the real question here is, guys, is 4,500 our floor? Is that the number that we need to keep an eye on as our support in the future? So if we start breaking down, let's say if we get a little higher to 4,600 and we start breaking below the 20, 45.58, again, I'm assuming with a good CPI number, 4,500 will be our line in the sand. But for right now, again, I think it's more of a low volume environment, not much to talk about. Yes, we have some earnings coming up. So again, we're going to keep an eye on that here in a second. But here on the indices right now, all you're doing is holding support, pretty much going to screw the bears, or it's going to go ahead and kind of lure the bulls in. So I don't think there's nothing to do, at least on the future side on S&P, really until 45.58. That's your 20-day moving average, and then we can see where we go from there. So we're about 40 points away from that. To be fair, we were there on Friday. We got above that 20-day around 45.59 and rejected. So again, we're going to see if we retest that today. There really isn't much news to go by other than earnings. So let's go ahead and look at them together. We'll go to our earnings calendar. And this is from Earnings Whisper. So we do have Palantir reporting today. We have Lucid reporting today. We also have Paramount was it Paramount Plus? That's the streaming service and studio. They're reporting today. Let's see if they have any kind of word or talk about the writer's strike and the actor's strike. Tuesday, we have UPS. Last time I traded UPS was an absolute disaster. So pardon me if I'm a little gun shy on trading that name for a while. Even though a couple of people got the trade on UPS, it was very quick. Rivian, AMC, Upstart report on Tuesday. Twilio as well. Disney reports Wednesday. Big after the bell trade desk win. So far, the Las Vegas casinos have done very well lately. So we'll see what any kind of word from Macau and Chinese demand. That'll give us a little bit of an insight on the Chinese recovery or possibly more stimulus. Roblox on Wednesday morning. Sony also reports. Wendy's, GoodRx. Thursday, Alibaba, a big one, will report on Thursday. We'll see if they have any guidance, maybe some buybacks. And anything else here? Yeti is going to report, but I don't really trade them. So I guess out of the names that I really trade, Palantir, Lucid, I've traded AMC before. Rivian I've traded. Upstart I have as well. Twilio I have not. Roblox I have. Plug Power also reports, but I don't trade them. I think maybe once. Disney, I do. Trade Desk, I have not. Win, I have. Wow, Canopy. Cannabis stocks, that's right. I used to trade that a lot. Alibaba on Thursday, and again, I do trade those. So if you have any question in regards to a specific earnings, because there's a ton of them, type it in the comments if I'm offline here, and I'll be more than happy to give you the actual levels I'd be looking for. So again, today's going to be very, very important in terms of unusual options activity. Maybe we'll catch a squeeze like an Amazon like we got this last earnings report. I didn't catch Amazon. Some of our members did. Shout outs to them. And you can see it here on the trophy room. 2 bags on Amazon. These guys are animals. Well done. Well done, these guys. So again, I'm very proud of the team. I did not signal Amazon. Don't want to imply that I did because I did not. But again, if you have any questions on a certain earnings report or a certain stock that's going to be reporting this week, just go ahead and comment here on the chat or comment below the video. Let's go and answer these questions. Lucid. Let's see here on the hourly. We'll go to the daily here. Lucid, nothing to do here. We're below the 20-day, so there's no gaps to fill below, but I still need above $8.35 for us to play anything there because we have a nice gap to fill here at $9.79. So again, if we break above $8.35 on Lucid, that's what we're looking for. In terms of shorting, I mean, not real much edge unless you're going to short to 546. Are you still looking at DraftKings above 33? Yes, I am looking for DraftKings above 33. We are almost there. I believe there was a price upgrade this morning, and I posted that on the blog. DraftKings rose 1.5% after Wells Fargo upgraded the sports betting app to overweight from neutral. The bank said DraftKings EBITDA is inflecting more quickly, steeply than we previously envisioned, and expect its operating momentum to continue. So again, they were up this morning. If you remember DraftKings back, I think it was in 2021, Bitcoin betting and blunts. So blunts didn't work out so far. That needs to be legalized nationwide for us to cash in on cannabis stocks. And yes, I'm holding them and they're killing me. But I didn't go too heavy either. I made more money trading CGC and these cannabis names than actually investing them. Some names you just need to trade. Some names you should invest. There's definitely different ways to go about it. For example, United Health. I would never trade those options. There is no volume. But the stock, one of my favorite names is to own is United Health. I did very well last year. Betting, that was here. DraftKings, that was the key. And then also, which is a Penn, which is the one that owns Barstool Sports. But DraftKings, again, is an app that I use for fantasy football. Personally, this is not an ad. It's just that I do love DraftKings. And again, with NFL coming up this year, we'll expect DraftKings to get a little more room to the upside once we break 33. We're looking for 34.56 to go ahead and target 37. Would 33 be a break? Would that be nice? I would say 34.56. That's your wick high from Thursday's earnings. So let's recapture those highs, see if we can go ahead and play the breakout to this gap, to this fib level, the 50% fib, 37.18. So that would be my target on DraftKings. So we're looking for, again, 34.56, not 33. That 34.56 is the wick high. 33 would might give us an eye on what to do next. But as of right now, let's go to NQ, NASDAQ futures. And again, kind of holding that support around 15, let's call it 15,350. The line in the sand is 15,472, 15,5. Once you break out of that, this is the support that we had for about 2 Fridays ago. So again, if we go ahead and create another base, bounce around here, it's really just going to be chop. You really can't do much in terms of NASDAQ, even Qs, until you get above 15.7. Maybe 15,650 if you want to roll the dice, but I think right now this week, it's a lot of observation. And you're pretty much just focusing on the high betas because they're all reporting. So again, certain names will report, some other names will move in sympathy. In terms of the mega caps, let's take a look at Apple. Apple, let's see if we go ahead and get a bounce. We filled this 1 hour gap here. And again, the question is, do we get above 187.14 with a nice push higher? If we do not, and the reason I say 187.14, that's your 50-day moving average, and there's a gap here at 190.57. If we get a dip below 180, we want to get to 176. That'd be the target, and you have a gap to fill here at 175. So 175 isn't exactly the worst thing in the world for this name. It has gotten ahead of itself. And again, we haven't been below the 50-day moving average since January. So maybe some profit taking on a good earnings report. Very, very possible. Look how much the stock has gone up from around 125 to around 198. Yes, people do take profits on their stocks. Yes, people do sell. So again, this is nothing to be, in my opinion, to be too concerned about. If you start breaking below 160, that's a concern. Nothing good happens below the 200-day moving average, guys. So if we start breaking below there, then we'll have the discussion about what's to come. But until then, I think this is more just profit taking than anything else. Apple is a pretty resilient name, the most resilient regarding the mega caps. They're flush with cash. Berkshire Hathaway reported that Apple alone is around 47% of their portfolio. Maybe Warren is starting to unload a little bit. Could be. I can't assume anything. He hasn't said anything. But if he unloads some of his shares, obviously to kind of balance his portfolio, that's going to affect the stock, obviously. Would you still plan on to making an update in the top 10 stocks you liked going into 2023? Yes. Yes, absolutely. I'm going to go and actually work on that today. Once we get the actual closing prices, we're going to go over all of them. So again, I'll do that as a recording. I'll post it mystical. So for sure, I got you guys with the top 10 stocks of 2023. And that should be a really great video. We'll see where we go from there. All right, so a monitor and research kind of day. We're just going to be watching for the most part. I don't expect a lot of alerts to go off this morning. Possibly a holding pattern until we start getting Palantir and those names reporting with the high betas, and probably a holding pattern of CPI. And again, guys, it's really just mostly vacation time for everybody. It's not the sense of everyone wants to get out of the market. I think we're just at a point of everyone's taking a breather after a really, really great July. In your experience, has it been clear once a stock goes below the 200-day MA, it's not the greatest or expect more downside? Yes. Paul Tudor Jones, one of the best traders ever, great books that he's written. He had a great quote, I believe it's him, or Peter Lynch, one of the two. They're both great. That nothing good happens below the 200-day. And that's a very, very key level in terms of changing of trend. And why do I say that? Because the 200-week MA, that was the support here on S&P when we called the bottom in October. So the 200 MAs are very, very important in terms of technical basis, because that's usually very, very, very tough support or very, very tough resistance. So once you get above that and hold it, that's usually a good sign for future price action. So yes, 200-day, 200-week moving averages are very, very key. And that's where we are this morning. So again, my apologies for the audio this morning, having a little bit of issues on the kind of feedback echo. But it's all taken care of now. So again, we will talk to you guys tomorrow for the next morning note at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll work on the top 10 stocks of 2023. Let's see what we got right so far, what we got wrong so far, what would we change, what wouldn't we change, and what do we think moving forward on these names. We will see you guys then. Have a great rest of your morning. Cheers, guys.